Dad? Daddy? Yes? Tell us a story. A story? A story about what? Tell us the story about the little people who lived in the yard. Little people? Which little people? You know, that live under the ground in the yard. Under the ground? Yeah, Dad, remember they ride on beetles and live in birds' nests? How do you know about these little people?
This is an actual story that I told my two sons, David and Emerson, when they were very small.
I've only seen him once, more or less, and that was a long time ago, so to speak, when you two were the size of beans. Beans with little legs like a shrimp and little shrimpy eyes.
It was bedtime. They wanted a story before going off to sleep, and so I had to think of a lie, and quick.
So close to the tip of my nose that I could hardly focus was a tiny man about the size and color of a pickle, and just about as warty. Settled under his rump, like a faithful steed, was a stag beetle, all the color of waxed chocolate with a pair of pincers that stuck out in front like tusks. The beetle's tiny black eyes glared at me, and the little green man frowned at me too, like I'd done something ignorant, and while I didn't know what it was, I felt rather guilty all the same.
I'm sitting there in the dark. These two kids turned to me, their eyes glued to me, listening to every word, and I'm making it all up as I go along. Eventually, I wrote all these stories down.
You've an EFB in your nose, he said. What? I mumbled, confused. An emerald flower bee, he said, in your nose. Well, that got me moving. I started snorting like I'd sniffed a snootful of feather dust, and I must have expelled the poor bee in the first puff because I didn't get stung.
I'm Jacob Hopgut. I'm actually the artist in this collaboration. My mom would always be doodling when I was younger, and we didn't really have cable or anything, so it was always kind of her just kind of showing me how to draw something, and I just kind of repeating that. And unlike most people who stopped drawing in 3rd grade, I just kind of kept doing it because I thought it was fun.
What does he eat? What does he eat? Yeah, the little man, what does he eat? Why, food, I don't know. What kind of food? What do you like to eat? Macaroni and cheese, chicken dumpling soup, chocolate cake? Yes, I've noticed that. Well, that little man enjoys some of the same foods that you do, only in smaller bites.
I enjoy it because it allows you to kind of create things as you see it. It allows you to kind of twist things and kind of mold them. There's always something you can like hone with that technique. It's just always something worth pursuing more.
The only thing he really has to worry about are lawnmowers and earthworms, of course. Earthworms? Why does he have to worry about earthworms? Why, his living room has dirt walls. When the earthworms stampede, there's no stopping them. And can you imagine a living room full to the ceiling with earthworms? Ew, yuck! The way I hear it, when he catches the rumbling of an approaching stampede, he has just enough time to mount his trusty beetle and make a break for the surface. After the worms have all passed, he moves back in, cleans the slime off his things, and gets back to growing living green grass and baking blueberry pies. What more could anyone ask for?
This collaboration all began when I approached Jake and said to him, you know, I've written a story. Would you be willing to devote hours and hours of time and make it? What you see behind me here is a visual representation of a bar graph demonstrating how hard I have worked on this project, all the work I put into it.
Yeah. Not often, mind you, not at all often. They don't care much for prying eyes. What do they do? Eyes? No, the others. Oh, all kinds of necessary tasks, things that we giant people take quite for granted. Like what? I see that you're looking for a few more examples.
It's been an odd jump going from high school to this kind of professional method right away. Back in high school, it was kind of dilly-dally, do whatever, just get it done, hopefully by this date, but it's no big deal if you have to push it back. But here, there's just deadlines, and it's definitely a change of pace.
Have you ever noticed that Just as the sun goes down and the sky is beginning to turn purple, you're looking for the first star of the evening, but you can't find one. Then suddenly you'll finally spot one. Then after a minute, you'll see another, then another, and so on until the sky is milky with stars. But it's always just one at a time, never all of them flipped on at once. Well, that's because they're not turned on like a light switch. Poof, and that's that. Oh no, someone lights them one at a time by hand.
I guess there's some shapes that I draw more often than others, but they do tend to be weird monsters most of the time, which I don't have a problem with.
Is that the little woman who rides the firefly? Well, I'm impressed. The library of your knowledge is packed with enticing titles, I must say.
I kind of like to think that I show reality and the fantastic, that even in the most bizarre, like furthest from reality scenarios, there's still like a bit of like the human spirit in it that you can relate to.
But I need to point out an important detail. What? She doesn't ride the firefly. The firefly's way too small and she's too large. It's all a matter of simple physics. Instead, she rides in a gondola made of an eggshell fastened to a team of 8 little fireflies. What's a gondola? It's like a little boat that floats in the air. What are their names? The gondolas? Dad, the fireflies.
I think I might continue comics in the future. Probably start on webcomic stage just to kind of start out with. See how that goes. If there's potential in it, yes, I'd like to be a professional artist. But that's just saying that I would be able to do whatever I wanted. But it's kind of all as far as I go all out and be able to do whatever I want, or just kind of get a degree and just kind of make someone else's reality, you know?
What makes them fall, Dad? Fall asleep? The leaves. What makes them fall? A nip of frost, perhaps, and the weight of the paint.
I'm going to Minneapolis Community and Technical College. I actually registered there yesterday. I'm just going to get my journals there, and then probably transfer to another university where I'm probably going to get a teaching degree, where I'm still going to do illustration on the side.
Where does the painter of leaves live? Oh, good question. He lives in a tidy little home built into the base of a gray catbird's nest back in the lilac bush. Each spring, the catbird builds a new nest atop the old one. So each year, the little leaf painter's house grows by a room at a time. Isn't he afraid of the catbird? Afraid of a catbird? Who's afraid of a great catbird? Are you?
My favorite artists are Bill Watterson from Calvin and Hobbes. I really like Miyazaki's work, the Japanese animator. There's this French cartoonist, Mobius, used to make all these just crazy sci-fi comics, which I really liked. I'm really into contemporary art though, as far as street art goes. I really like Roa, just kind of massive portraits he can make wherever he goes.
I think that's about enough for tonight, my little people. Oh, come on, Dad. Time to say goodnight. There'll be more stories tomorrow. The man bent over each child, wrapping his long arms about them and planting a kiss upon first one forehead, then the other. Good night, you two. Sleep tight. Don't let the earthworm stampede.
Story being told, I picture the second-story window in Shaw Town with the big walnut tree and the arborvitae right out the window and the catbird nest out on the side of the house. My sons are now 27 and 23 to this day. I don't know if they still believe that there are little people out in the yard.
The branch of a white cedar tree, or arborvitae, just on the other side of the bedroom wall, and at the same height as the open window, sat 2 tiny beans, each only inches high. They had been perched quite comfortably side by side, hips touching, upon a comforter made of down feathers and petunia flowers, and now they roused themselves, stretching and yawning. The one, warty as a pickle, turned to the other and whispered, "Well, that's it for another evening's entertainment." "Yes, indeed, quite late. Time to turn in," replied his associate. The first paused briefly upon the branch, grasping the other's arm. "How do you suppose he knows so much?" "Beats me. I used to think nobody noticed." "Well, see you tomorrow night then?" "I wouldn't miss it for the whole wide, warty, wonderful world."
Art is just an escape, but it's so much more than that. It lets you like create this world as you see it, and allows you to reflect the world as you see it, which is always a really great thing.
So your book is for It is for sale. We'll be selling it over here after the show. It's $15 a book, but Steve and I will autograph it for you. So.